Saturday morning here at Site B. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning. It's October 22nd, 2022. It is once again gloomy. So our heat wave is over and we're back to normal October fall weather, at least for the moment. Yay! And I can't believe I have to do this again. I really cannot believe I have to do this again. I really do not understand why this is a thing. And you know what? I've explained it 87 times now, and I'm still explaining it again, but there's a guy who's engaged in me with Twitter who's posted 100 times on my Twitter OGGM Adventures account. Down below, follow me on Twitter. And has gone off on this insane conspiracy theory of how Hasbro can tell you how to play Dungeons and Dragons, and you have to do it the way Hasbro says. Like it's a law. Like, if I don't play it the way Hasbro says I have to play it, Hasbro police are going to show up at my front door and take me to court for not playing D&D the way they think I should play D&D. Okay, so I guess this goes all back to the whole stupid Canon thing. So Crawford, once again, the ghost of Jeremy Crawford is still affecting at least a small portion of the gaming crowd. And this guy also brought up Game Workshop Warhammer games. And I'm like, dude, they're completely different sides of the coin. All right. And I guess this is one of the people who believe that somehow Warhammer and D&D are the same thing. I don't know. I don't know if this guy's just trolling me. I don't know if this guy actually believes this. I don't know if this guy's just looking for a fight. But okay, this is a Twitter, and he's Twittered me 20 times. So I guess this has to do with Jeremy Crawford's and his Canon thing, and whether Hasbro can force you to play D&D a specific way or not. So and Games Workshop can force you to play Warhammer a specific way or not. So let's unpack that, shall we? First, let's do the Warhammer one, so that's easier, okay? Games Workshop sponsors official Warhammer tournaments and Warhammer days, usually at Game Workshop stores or independent stores, also at conventions. If it is an official Warhammer tournament following current Warhammer official rules where there's a prize and you have to pay money and everything, yes, Games Workshop can set down certain rules for the tournament. The shop has to follow those tournament rules. There will be a prize. There's rankings, just like Magic. If there's an official Friday Night Magic tournament or a Magic unboxing tournament, there are certain specific rules an official Friday Night Magic shop has to follow in order to get the rankings, get the prizes, the amount of people that can play in regards to Games Workshop, how many points your army can be, what things you're not going to follow, what rule set you are not going to use, because the Warhammer rules keep constantly changing. So yes, in an official Game Workshop tournament, Game Workshop can tell you how to play Warhammer. But if it's just two friends sitting down at a table and they each want to, field 200-point armies of nothing but Skaven, there is nothing Games Workshop can do about that. And if they want to go into a store and play for a couple hours and they both were like, you know what would be fun? We've got these figures we never use. Why don't we each just field 100-point all Skaven army each and see what happens? Okay, that's not official, but they've already spent the money. They've already painted the figures. They already have the things. They've both decided to play this silly game of Skaven on Skaven for whatever reason. As long as they're not disrupting the store or violating the store in any way or disrespecting the store, or, one of them throws a figure across the table, Games Workshop can't tell you how to play a home game, a social game, a fun game. That's not official. There's no rankings. There's no prizes involved. Game Workshop doesn't care. You've already given them money for the figures, so as long as you're not disrupting the store, if you and your friend want to play a friendly social 2-hour game of, Skaven versus Snotlings or all dwarf versus all elf, and it's not, the Games Workshop doesn't care. All right, same with Dungeons and Dragons moving forward, okay? If it's an official sponsored Adventures League tournament, or if it's an official sponsored Dungeons and Dragons convention game, or if it's official sponsored by the shop D&D thing, then yes, there are rules you have to follow to remain active within the Adventure League's monthly tournaments and stuff like that. And there are points and rankings and prizes and all that stuff. Adventures League stuff, You know, it used to be known as the RPGA stuff is official. It's sponsored by DM's Workshop and Wizards of the Coast. There are official rules. Same with Magic, okay? Same with Magic the Gathering. There are official Magic the Gathering tournaments which have to be run in an official way, and there's official rankings and official software, and there's beginnings, middles, and ends and seasons. It's, you know, it's all very regulated and controlled. And in that format, yes, you have to follow certain rules if you're playing Adventure League official tournament or official content, or if you're at a convention, or if you're at an official sponsored store D&D event or Magic event, you know. You have to follow specific rules. And in that case, yes, Hasbro can tell you exactly how to play Dungeons and Dragons if you are playing in the Adventures League. If you're just playing a home game or at the table at the store or in your house, Hasbro can't tell you how to play. Hasbro can't tell you what official rules you have to follow in your game, at your store, at your table with your players. Whatever you guys agree upon, those are the rules of your game. All Hasbro can do is say, yeah, you're playing D&D. We got your money. Thank you. This isn't an official game. There's no prizes involved. Are you disturbing the store with your game? No. Are you, in fact, making the store money because you're running D&D at the store? Yes. Are you doing anything during the running of the D&D game at the store that is bothering anybody in any way, shape, or form? And if it is, that's not Hasbro's responsibility. That's the store owner's responsibility. If you get up and run over and beat another kid up because of 5th edition, which I know has happened, that's not on Hasbro. That's not Hasbro's responsibility. That's the store's responsibility. Could you sue Hasbro? I don't know. Could you sue McDonald's because coffee was hot and you didn't know? Yes, you could sue them because you didn't know that somebody was going to come up and punch you in the face playing D&D. But that's not, you know, there's no rule other than it's against the law. But Hasbro can't stop you. I think I've gone off track here. Hasbro can't tell you how to play D&D unless it's an official contest. So the 5th edition game I'm playing with these guys at Dreamworld Collectibles here in Ventura, California, Hasbro can't show up and say you're not playing it the way you're supposed to. There's no official way that Hasbro says you have to play D&D. Hasbro doesn't care. Okay? Let's just get this over again for the 37,000th times. Hasbro does not care who you are. Hasbro does not care what you think. They do not know who you are. They don't care who you are. You literally do not matter to Hasbro one bit. All that matters to Hasbro in regards to Dungeons & Dragons, Magic, My Little Ponies, Power Rangers, Peppa Pig, Play-Doh, Nerf, video games, board games is this. Money. All Hasbro cares about is your money. Did you pay for the player's handbook? Hasbro made money. That's all they care about. Did you buy officially dice in the D&D shapes that Hasbro technically sort of has the copyright to? Fine. They got their money. They don't care what you do with them. Are you disrupting the shop when you're playing your home game? Are you being an asshole? Are you spouting out foul words? Are you threatening each other? If you are, that's on the shop. That's not on Hasbro. If you're not, the shop doesn't care how you play D&D. In fact, the shop wants you to play D&D because playing D&D in the store makes the shop money. And the shop is not going to say you can't use those rules because they're like, dude, use whatever fucking you want. In fact, Seth had a rule at Seth's Games and Anime till the day it closed. If you buy it in the store during the game, it shows up during the game. It was a ridiculous, silly rule, but it got people spending hundreds of dollars that they didn't. I remember one night where a guy spent $200 on dice just so he could keep re-rolling. Because Seth said, if you don't like the roll, you could buy a new dice and roll that. And the guy kept rolling crap, and he would go buy another new dice, roll that, then go buy another new dice. So yeah, as long as what you're doing doesn't disrupt the store, Hasbro can't tell you what to do. The store can't tell you what to do. Hasbro doesn't care how we play D&D in the D&D game I'm in, or the two D&D online games I'm in. Hasbro doesn't care. All Hasbro cares about is that you spent money on D&D, and they're pocketing it. There's no official rules. Now, moving on to the other half of the argument, Jeremy Crawford and Canon. What is Canon to 2022 Dungeons & Dragons and the non-stop confusion that Jeremy Crawford caused with his stupid comment about nothing before 2014 is canon to D&D? All right, so we've unpacked this 3 times before, but we're going to unpack it again for hopefully the last time. Hold on a sec. Where is it? This is what Jeremy Crawford meant. This is what is canon to Dungeons & Dragons from 2014 until today, 2022, until the official next book comes out in 2024. This is the fighter. The fighter class is in Dungeons & Dragons and has been in Dungeons & Dragons since day one. The fighter class is in the 5th edition Player's Handbook that came out 2014 or whatever. The fighter class is canon to 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. It is a 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons class and a 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons product that was officially released by Wizards of the Coast for 5th edition. That means the fighter class, as presented here, is canon to 2014 through 2022 5th edition D&D. It is a set-in-stone empirical fact. The fighter class exists in 5th edition. It has existed since 2014 5th edition, and it will continue to exist till whatever happens in 2024. This is canon to D&D. This is a hard fact. It cannot be changed. But that said, there is absolutely nothing. There is no single thing in the multiverse that says you have to have a fighter class in your D&D game. No. That is the other half of what Crawford meant, okay? Crawford is not saying you have to have this. No, what Crawford has said is this exists. But if you want to run a game where it's all thieves and there's no fighter class, or you want to run a game where there's all elves and no other race, or if you want to run a D&D game totally homebrewed that doesn't use a single published 5th edition product because you're just making everything up, that's fine. Because what happens at your table is canon to your table, and Wizards of the Coast cannot tell you how to run your game at your table. Whatever home rules you have, as long as they're not bothering anybody else or violating any laws, Hasbro police is not going to show up at your front door, kick open your door and go, "Bitch, on the ground, you're playing D&D wrong." No, that's not going to happen. There's absolutely no timeline, no series of events where that's going to happen. Hasbro does not care how you play D&D at your table. Jeremy Crawford does not care how you play D&D at your table. All Jeremy Crawford cares about is this. The canon statement, again, what he said was one thing. Everybody got upset, and it's still starting this bullshit like Lego is canon to D&D. And what was the latest one? Friends is canon to D&D? No. What is canon to 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons is what's in here. What's in the D&D books. That is canon. Because it exists in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. It was published after 2014. And therefore, once again, it is canon to 2014 5th edition through 2024 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. The fighter class is canon to Dungeons & Dragons. Storm King's Thunder is canon to 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons because it was printed after 2014 in an official 5th edition Wizards of the Coast product. Therefore, it is canon to Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. That does not mean you have to run Storm King's Thunder. What is canon at your table is individual to you, and there's no legal thing that Wizards of the Coast can do if you say, you know what, Storm King's Thunder never happened in my game. I'm not running that module. I hate it. It has nothing to do with the game I'm running. You know what? There are no elves in my game. My game is all 100% goblins. No other race. I'm running a goblin-centric game. Wizards of the Coast can't do anything about that. Wizards of the Coast doesn't care. Did you buy our product? Yes, I did. Great. Thank you for your money. We don't care what you do with it. Are you using fighters in your game? No, I'm not. Great. Thank you for your money. We don't care about it. Are you infringing on Hasbro's rights in any way, shape, or form that you might cost us money? Well, yeah, I am illegally printing out copies of the Player's Handbook. Well, that we care about. But no, we don't care about what you do with it once you bought it, as long as it's not an official game. Now, if it's an official Adventurers League game sponsored by Wizards of the Coast, then yes, they care because there are official rules to the Adventurers League. If it's an official Friday Night Magic event sponsored by Wizards of the Coast, then yes, Hasbro cares because it's an official Wizards of the Coast sponsored Friday Night Magic event. If it's an official, see, I'm getting to the end here, Games Workshop sponsored Warhammer tournament following very specific point buys and what you cannot use as determined by Games Workshop, then yes, Games Workshop can tell you how to play Warhammer. But in closing, what you do at your table, in your game, if it's agreed upon by all your players and it is not an official tournament, there's not a goddamn thing Hasbro can do about it. Hasbro doesn't even care. All they care about is you purchase the product. The fighter class is canon to 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. But it does not mean you have to run Storm King's Thunder in your D&D game. And if you don't run Storm King's Thunder in your D&D game, you do not have to spend the next 2 years living in fear that the Hasbro police will show up at your door and cart you away because you didn't run Storm King's Thunder officially the way they were supposed to think you were supposed to under, because there is no official way. I don't know how many times I can say this. I don't know why I have to keep saying this. I don't know if these people are serious and they really think this. Like, they really think that Friends is canon and official to D&D because there's a Friends Lego set. They officially think that because there are official rules for the adventure leagues that Hasbro can officially, legally tell you how to play D&D. Do these people actually think that? Or are they just trolling to get attention? Either way, hopefully this video gets me some responses, and you like, share, and subscribe to the OGGM Adventures, and you support me with all my new amazing merch, including two brand new t-shirts on my Teespring. Till next time, I'm the OGGM, once again trying to navigate the murky waters of Dungeons & Dragons canon. God damn, I'm so sick of that word. See ya!